Don't have young people hair on your old person face. It never looks good, man. Never looks good. Let some gray in there so you look like a human being. That's all I'm saying. He's right next to Timothy Oliphant, who went gray, and he looks fantastic.
Time out.
Yes.
Go ahead, Ange. I know what you're doing. Go right ahead.
Jay Black, you are giving Tom Cruise tips on how to look? Seriously?
I challenge. Listen.
Please.
I challenge anybody to go to this movie and tell me that his hair and his overly smooth face is not distracting. And welcome back, everybody, to another exciting edition of the TV Show Podcast. My name is Jay Black. I'm joined, as always, by the fantastic Rhea Hughes and the mediocre, but, I'm going to say slightly above mediocre, Angelo Cataldi, because I'm feeling good about you today, Angelo.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm going to jump right into something because we talk about fantastic. There is a movie about Steve Jobs that was written by Aaron Sorkin. And at one point, the character played by Seth Rogen says to Steve Jobs, everybody here plays an instrument. What do you play, Steve? And Steve says, I play the orchestra. Basically saying, I see past all of the details. I see the big picture. And I was reminded of that while watching the final episode of Nathen Fielder's The Rehearsal, because it is so meta. It is so layered. It's so interesting that I have to say that Nathen Fielder, Angelo Cataldi, plays the orchestra, because that ending was phenomenal. Tell me about it.
I think The Rehearsal season 2 on HBO Max is one of the most extraordinary things I have ever watched in my life.
Yeah.
And I pretty much parked my fat rear end in front of a TV my whole life.
Yeah.
And I'm just telling you, I want to read to you what the New Yorker said about the finale of The Rehearsal. It was only 6 episodes. Gideon Lewis Krause wrote, the finale of this season is one of the most astonishing, ridiculous, and sublime episodes of television I think I have ever seen.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'll just say it's all been building up to this. He's doing this along a shaky premise of air safety, right? Yeah. And in the end, Rhea, just try to picture it. He's got a lot of money to work with at HBO. So he gets 150 people, actors, actors, all from LA, to come in to inform them that they could be part of his finale, but they're going to need to get on a plane, 150 people, and fly a
737.
Boeing 737.
Yeah.
And they're going to fly it 2 hours plus. And the pilot is going to be professional comedian Nathen Fielder.
Oh, hell no.
Rhea, no one said no.
No one said no. Rhea,
he's so desperate for work in LA. They'll risk their lives to be an extra.
And you know what though, Rhea, he got his pilot. Listen, if you're mad about spoilers, then you haven't listened to this show. Yeah. We're talking about the finale. The whole premise of the season is about communication, about piloting, but there's also this subtext about autism and why an autistic person can't be a pilot. And it goes into depth about a bunch of stuff. But the ending of this thing, as you start to realize that he's going to fly the plane, it's shocking, it's fantastic, and it's layered in a way. Angelo, you're right. You've never seen anything like it on television. No. Never in the history of TV.
All six episodes, in different ways, without way. But I got to be honest, all right? This really directly relates to Rhea. So it was a cold day down the shore Saturday, and my son Neo was there. He was 47, and my two twin grandsons who are 16, and I pretty much forced them to sit down to watch an episode. My favorite one, number 3.
Yes.
They couldn't make it through it. They couldn't make it through it. They thought it was so awkward and cringy, and it made them so uncomfortable.
Yes.
that they couldn't do it. So I'm not saying to people, you got to see this because you're going to love it the way I do. But if you really are a student of TV,
Yeah.
and you've been complaining for years and years that there's not a lot of creativity anymore. It's all boilerplate, all these network shows. There's 5 shows on the FBI and 3 from Chicago and all this. This is so creative. It'll turn some people off.
Yeah. And I think
it's great.
I think that's the point, Angelo, is that here's a guy, and we'll talk about this in the next segment, but here's a guy who is so committed to his vision. Not only is he willing to upset people, he's willing to get a commercial pilot's license over the course of a year. I assume it's one of those deals where he wanted it anyway, and he just found a way to get HBO to pay for it. But either way, this guy went to extremes that no one else has ever gone to. Maybe Tom Cruise. I'll talk about him later too. But other than Tom Cruise, can you think of anybody who's had this level of commitment to a bit?
No. He got all that brain testing they did.
Yeah.
The MRI, they stuck him in that tube and no.
God, you guys are selling this so well.
No, Rhea, you don't understand. No one I've ever experienced. Jay just hit it on the nose. No one's ever given that much of their lives up for 6 episodes of a television show. I mean, you're basically announcing to the world, I have no life. This is my life. These episodes are my full commitment to my career. And I'm in awe. I'm in awe. You know how I crucified him for The Curse last year.
Well,
the fiction, it was a piece of garbage.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that because, I was thinking about this with Nathen Fielder, and also this week, a guy named Tim Robinson, who has a show on Netflix called I Think You Should Leave. His movie went wide and it made about $8 million. It cost about $6 million. So we already have this movie as a profitable comedy in 2025, which in and of itself is an achievement. And I was thinking about failure because Nathen Fielder failed with The Curse just about in every way you possibly could. Huge budget on Showtime. Nobody seemed to care about it. And anybody who did watch it seemed to dislike it. Tim Robinson went on SNL and very famously flamed out at SNL, was not a fit, and found a place at Netflix. And Rhea, let me ask you, do you think that a willingness to fail is a primary part of creativity? Do you need to be willing to lose your audience to gain an audience?
So I don't know about lose your audience, but Angelo taught me this a long time ago because that was Angelo's whole beginning of a show. I was a producer back then. He was doing stuff that nobody else had done, in terms of sports. So yeah, if you don't take chances, I don't think you have the ability to be creative. So I think Walt Disney, didn't he get fired from like every job that he had?
Yeah.
Before he said, I'm going to do this and create it, the happiest place in the world. So I think, what Angelo had told me in the beginning, I was always afraid to put myself really out there and be, no one can be as zany as Angelo, but he's like, you have to literally put yourself out there and let all the words show, and people are going to like you or not going to like you. So I'm just relating it to what I was raised with, that you must, in order, I think, to reach your full creativity, you have to absolutely take chances.
Angelo, as the person who raised Rhea, do you agree with that?
Well, here's the irony of it. As Rhea's saying that, I'm thinking of all the insane things we did early in the show, even before Rhea. We had a guy, our traffic, Chris, what's her name? Chris Gamble was our traffic reporter who actually did traffic reports from a helicopter. And on opening day, I decided I wanted her to drop a baseball from the helicopter and I would catch it, right? Not doing any of the physics on it, that if the ball actually landed on me, I would be dead.
Yes.
And we did all this stuff. And I mean, it was a lot in the first 10 years, but we didn't at the end. See, once you've established yourself that like you are a brand, they called you, it's a lot harder to take these leaps.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm in such awe of Nathen Fielder, Remember Stephen Bochco? He
Yeah,
did Hill Street Blues, L.A. Law. He also did an awful show called Cop Rock,
I remember. I
which
watched every
was
episode.
it was a cop show where they broke into song.
Yeah.
Rhea, your father was a cop. It was awful. But he
Yeah.
was risking all of that, his legacy to bring up that terrible show. It happens. I mean, there's other examples of Vince Gilligan, right? Who did Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
7 years before that, he tried to sell a show. I did a little research for that called The Lone Gunman, right?
Mm-hmm.
The pilot had the government crashing a plane into the World Trade Center,
Oh my God.
right? He never sold the pilot because they said that is absurd, right? And the moral of the story is no one actually knows anything.
Yeah.
What the key to it all is keep trying. The next thing you do might be gold. And that's what you got to hope for.
And Angela, I just want to say that you have never been righter when you say that, like, the early days of anything, the Wild West days are the best days.
They
And
are.
you and your team at WIP, you were starting a new genre. A lot people think that sports radio has existed since the time in memoriam. Sports was always, it was a news organization. It was like stuffy baseball writers wearing tweed suits and typing on, Selectrics, talking about like the grand majesty of the game. And you guys came along and said, maybe there should be entertainment here. And between you and the early days of ESPN and everything else, you're right. It became anything is possible. But if you look at ESPN now, if you look at the state of sports radio now, it has become a brand and a genre that has all of the trappings and tropes figured out. So nobody's doing like new stuff. So, it moves to podcasting or whatever else. And you're exactly right. For Nathen Fielder to take an established brand, he could have been doing Nathan for You till the end of time, or some variation of it. And to say, I'm going to experiment with the medium. That's a huge risk, and you got to tip your hat. Even if you hate it, Rhea, which you probably would, you got to tip your hat.
Well, I don't do. Angelo knows I don't do awkward. Awkward.
Yeah.
I worked with awkward for 20-something years, but I don't watch awkward on TV. It makes me uncomfortable. I'm like Neil and the twins.
That's true.
All right. Well, let's form an isolation here and let Rhea pass the ball to Rhea. Not like Angel Reese, because Rhea's actually going to sink the basket here. She sent to us some emails about a show that she watched, and it's one of these shows. I'll just preface it by saying, if you look at all the parts to this movie, you would go, this is a great movie. This has got to be good because the parts are so big, but it was a failure. Rhea, tell us what you watched this week.
So here are the parts. So it's Fountain of Youth, directed by Guy Ritchie, who's phenomenal, who's done stuff recently that I've loved.
Yeah.
So let me make that very clear. Gentlemen, something, another one with Gentlemen, but it's John Krasinski and Natalie Portman. And basically, Natalie Portman and John Krasinski are brother and sister. She's some curator of, fine art in London. And he's a guy who's like stealing famous artworks, but like giving them back to where they belong. And apparently, so they're looking for the Fountain of Youth. And I'm watching this and I'm going, this is basically National Treasure, that starred Nicolas Cage, basically looking for, the Declaration of Independence or whatever, the Holy Grail. It was literally an absolute ripoff. It should have been good. What I think is, John Krasinski is okay. I don't think he's a great actor. I think he's a good actor, okay? But I think they wanted Keira Knightley because Natalie Portman was so wooden in this role. It would have been perfect for Keira Knightley because she could have sold it better. Maybe they just couldn't get her. It failed at what I was astonished at is that it got more views over the holiday weekend. But I think it got the views because Guy Ritchie, John Krasinski, Natalie Portman. It was absolutely dreadful. I mean, that's all I can say. The end of it was like they ran out of stuff and they're like, all right, we're done. I mean, it was really, I can't tell you how awful this movie was.
I just got to ask, when John Krasinski showed up on set and they put him in that straw boater, that hat that he was wearing, that like 1920s, I'm singing in a barbershop quartet hat. Did nobody on set go, hey, you know what? Maybe you look like an idiot, John. Maybe we shouldn't have you in our $180 million movie.
Jay, I wanted to see how much it cost to make, and I didn't because I was like, Jay will do this.
Yeah.
I can't, but a lot of people watch it, but I think it got dreadful ratings. I think the critics have hated it, and the critics in this case were that is for fun movies. That is in my wheelhouse. I like that kind of stuff. It was dreadful.
Angela,
I got to jump in on this. All right, Natalie Portman. I'm not a fan. I haven't liked her in anything she's ever did. I don't think she's got a lot of acting talent. I guess she's cute to people, whatever. Yeah. All I could think is, right, John Krasinski. So he's on set all day working with Natalie Portman, who is mezamez at best, right? Now he goes home and his A-list actress wife, Emily Blunt, is there. How long during dinner does it take before Krasinski goes, wow, this movie would be way better if just Emily were in it? And the guy, it's just, these things happen a lot. It's almost like the suits got involved and they went, let's just steal the National Treasure movies. Those were great. We'll just tweak the plot a little. We'll put different big names in it. We'll get a big director and we'll make a ton of money too. It's not creative. It's the exact opposite of what we were just talking about. It takes no chances.
Right. This is an Apple TV movie that makes you feel like Siri wrote it.
Yes. This is what I think would happen if AI wrote a movie. I'm absolutely. Wow. You're 100% right, Jay.
Yeah. So, that was a failure. That was a miss. That was a can't miss that missed. But there is one can't miss that never misses. And I believe, Angela Catati, you're going to tell us about our good friends at Steven Singer, that no AI wrote it. Only geniuses wrote Steven Singer.
I'll tell you the whole story of how Steven came up with the slogan, I hate Steven Singer.
Oh, right? that's very interesting.
Because I grilled him on it, because I didn't want to say it when I was doing the live spots, because I didn't hate Steven Singer. I loved him.
Right.
And I said, Steven, I don't like saying it. And he said, well, all I could tell you is it's my brand. And what it means is, what it says is, that is what all of my competition says about me. I hate Steven Singer because he's more honest than I am. He's got stuff that he tells the truth about. His prices of fear. And no one else in that business has that level of commitment to being fair to their customers. And I came around. It actually probably made him the great success he is today. And it's creative. It's so different. Why would you ever use the word hate in a slogan about your own company unless you had a spin on it that made it work? Creativity. It's the key to a lot of things in life.
100%.
And it's funny. I always thought it was I hate Steven Singer because like a guy would like go in to get his wife something and he'd be like, I hate Steven Singer. This is so beautiful. I got to get it for her.
Yeah, Rhea. No, that's the point.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
It's interpretive. You could use it that way. See, and that wasn't an ad campaign. That was Steven Singer who came up with it himself and made himself a national success story. Other corner of ate the walnut. You're not going to do better than Steven Singer Jewelers. I hate StevenSinger.com.
There, you don't even need to type it into your browser. You can just click the link in our podcast app and you will go directly there. Father's Day is coming up. If you want to buy me a gold-plated, diamond-encrusted Ketchit's mask, that would be a good gift if you're listening. Send it over to me, Jay Black. And Steven Singer, we thank him for being our sponsor. We also thank whatever gods you worship, that Rhea Hughes is here to tell us about British TV every single week. What do you got for us this week, Rhea?
I have an absolutely so this is different. I'm always doing the murder mysteries and the detectives and kind of dark stuff. This is the complete, well, it's not the complete opposite. It's called, and it's got a very wordy name to it on Netflix. It's called, I want to get it right, the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Society. Now that's very yes, I know it's very
Yeah.
wordy. So basically, it's and World War II is kind of my genre. So it's set in World War II. Guernsey Island is one of the Channel Islands. I want to say about 100 miles off of London. It was occupied during the war. So that's how close the Germans got to London. I mean, they're an hour by plane. And these people there faced, horrible rations. They had curfews, all kind. They weren't able to do stuff. So they were allowed to have book clubs. And that was how they got together to talk about what was going on the island. So, the war ends, and this famous author, Juliet, played by Lily James. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with her, Jay.
Yeah.
She's an actress, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. She's a famous writer in London, and she begins to correspond with a member of the society. And they begin to tell her about stuff that was happening during the occupation. She decides to go there because she's struggling to write her next book. Her fiance is Glenn Powell. Sticks a massive ring on her hand before she gets to the plane. This is a love story, but it's also a love story to the Channel Islands. I always tell you what I love about British television movies is the scenery is as much a character as the great character. This is a beautiful, beautiful island, and it was under horrible occupation by the Germans, but they're great people in it. You guys, you're a Game of Thrones guy, Jay?
Yeah. So you could tell from my lack of dating in high school.
Yes, well, there you go. Michael Huseman, he was Dario Naharis.
Yeah, he was great, Dario. Yeah.
Well, he's one of the main. He's kind of like, so it's a love story becomes a love triangle. It's a love story, but it's a love story to the island. It's what I love the most. I absolutely loved it. These characters in this book club, how they were able to live through German occupation what the people went through in World War II with the Germans is amazing. It's a beautiful story. You'll love it. Pour a cup of tea or a glass of wine. If you love a great storyline, you love great scenery. I can't and very highly rated on Rotten Tomatoes. I think 80 and above on both critics and audience. I loved it.
Fantastic. All right. So I can't pronounce the name of it. It's super
Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Society.
Guernsey
And
Literary.
Where?
It's on Netflix. It's on Netflix. It's 2 hours, but I'm telling you, you will on a Sunday afternoon, if it's raining, or a day like today when it's raining, settle in and watch it. You'll enjoy it.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you. Angela, what do you got for us this week?
Well, first of all, let me just say that I was trying to find out where this Guernsey Literary and Potato Field Society,
Potato peel,
whatever, and I couldn't. I tried 3 times to spell Guernsey, and I couldn't do it. So I was
Guernsey. Guernsey.
There's an E in there. Oh, who
Yes.
knew? All right. Anyway. I guess what I'd not tell, because I am often seen as a highly negative individual, particularly in sports. And I would just like to say that to prove that I am open-minded on stuff, I feel right now, this moment in time, Jay, we're in a golden age of streaming television.
Good stuff all around. Yeah.
I mean, we just talked about The Rehearsal, which I think is mad. Your Friends and Neighbors, to me, is a great watch.
Agreed.
Dusters just started. It is great. The Studio, the finale of The Studio was unbelievable.
Don't tell me. It's what I have left. I haven't seen the finale yet.
Okay. Rhea, it's great. The Untold series, which Rhea saw the Brett Favre one. The Untold series of sports documentaries on Netflix is second to none. Black Mirror is great. Jay's about to tell you about Sirens, which I also thought was great.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's amazing. And that's why I now have a documentary for you that is right in keeping with all that. And I've been hesitant to bring it up on this episode of our podcast because I feel that it would kind of paint me into a corner of being a nerd.
Yeah.
Because I just championed Nathen Fielder. And now I have to tell you that there is a spectacular documentary on HBO Max called, I got to get this right myself, Pee-wee as Himself. It is a 3-hour, 2-part documentary I'm Pee-wee Herman. And if you think you know the story of Pee-wee Herman and his alter ego, Paul Rubens, you don't. And I don't want to tell you the whole story. Here's all I'll tell you. This is how great it was. So he agreed to access to this great filmmaker. I can't think of his name. I'm sorry. I'm blanking out. Rhea, could you look that up? Somebody
Yeah,
look
I'll
it
look
up.
it up. Yeah.
Pee-wee as himself. And here's the thing. So he gives himself up to him and he does these incredible 40 hours of interviews, Jay, in which
Wow.
he probes how he created Pee-wee Herman. How, he was an improv actor. He was a stand-up comic. And then Pee-wee became his life because he had such a success with the first movie. He had a
Matt
TV
Wolf.
show. Matt Wolf.
Yeah.
Matt Wolf. And so, and Matt Wolf keeps in the byplay because see, Paul Rubens, Pee-wee Herman, it doesn't trust the documentarian. He said, "Why don't I just direct this myself? I'm a control freak. I want to do it." And right to the end, he hid from everyone. He was dying of cancer.
Yes.
And right to the end, he wouldn't give final approval for the documentary. And the day before he passed, there's actual audio. He finally decides he's going to do it and trust the guy. And he's with a quavering voice. He's at the very end. He gives his approval and he talks a little bit about how he wants people to regard him. It's one of the most compelling moments in a documentary I've ever seen.
Wow.
The documentary itself is incredibly interesting. He had a lot of scandals. He had all sorts of stuff going on in his life. And you come away from that going, well, that's a genius in
Yeah.
his own way, in his own bizarre way. He's a genius. This is another in this golden age of streaming we have right now. Go to HBO Max and check out Pee-wee as himself. It's fantastic.
And
As an entertainer, Angelo, I loved his show. I mean,
Yeah.
I was so upset when that whole thing came
Really?
to and he I loved Pee-wee Herman. Absolutely
Yeah.
loved him.
and
Me
you know
too.
how
It's great.
quaint a scandal.
Yes,
It-
it was.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
considering in the last 35 years what we've endured as a nation, some dude on his off time going into adult theater, this wouldn't even make the news now. People
No.
would just be like, well,
It wouldn't.
you know, people would be more concerned about where do you find an adult theater, more than anything
It wouldn't.
else. I
No,
just
it's great.
nuts that they took him down.
I'm
like that.
assuming you would know, Jay, but that's just me.
I know a few places, Rhea. I will email you after we hang up, so in case you want to check them out. All right, I got three quick reviews. They're all recommendations. I'll start with the one that Angela mentioned, Sirens, which is a very limited series on Netflix. It's only 5 episodes. It stars Glenn Howerton. I started with him because we're big fans of him from
Love him.
Always Sunny. Megan Fahey, who was in the movie Drop, which just came out and was in The White Lotus, plays the older sister of a character named Simone, who is working for a billionaire played by Juliana Moore, who is apparently running a cult of some kind, and she has fallen in with this billionaire. And this sister, who is, you know, they have a rough and tumble life from Buffalo. She's come to get the sister to come help with their dad, who is suffering from dementia, and she gets wrapped up in this very weird world. And it is a dark comedy that is both compelling from a drama and mystery point of view, and also, Angela, I think very funny. I laughed consistently during this.
I just got to mention Megan Fahey. She came out of nowhere with White
Yes.
Lotus. She is so great inside. She is also extremely attractive.
She and her character.
Hey,
They
stop laughing. I could say that from afar.
they let her play. They let her play a flawed character that is still very compelling. And it's just one of the, I was talking to my daughter about this because we were watching it, and she was saying, you know, it's nice that they let women get to be flawed. Like for the longest time, it was men who were like Tony Soprano. He's flawed, but we love him. This girl, she gets to play this, and she's great. Another
I'm
show.
glad you guys told me this because I watched the trailer and I wasn't sure about it, but now I'm going to watch it. So
You'll love it, Rhea. It's really solid.
me. Okay,
It's really solid. And Julianne Moore plays a great, crazy billionaire. She's fantastic. There's another show on Netflix. It's garbage trash, but I love it. It's I want to get the name right. It's the Balloon Pop Show. Have you seen this? It's a reality show, dating show.
I don't watch reality shows.
It's a dating show. It's called Pop the Balloon Live. It's a dating show where you walk out. If you're a man, there's like 10 women lined up and they each have a balloon and you talk about yourself. And as they hear things they don't like, they pop the balloon as a way of taking themselves out of the pool of people that you can date, right? So, Rhea, sometimes a guy will walk out and he's 5'4", and 9 women will pop the balloon as he walks. It's awful, but I love it. It's so great. And it's so interesting to see what they say that gets the balloon popped. Like a woman will go, well, I'm very married to my work. 10 pops. It's amazing. So it's this
Where
show,
is it?
It's on Netflix, and it's called. It used to be a YouTube show, so there's tons of YouTube stuff, but they turned it into a Netflix show. It's garbage trash, but the best garbage trash. And finally, my son and I went to go see The Final Reckoning, the Mission Impossible, the 8th movie. With 62-year-old Tom Cruise that they're still sticking on the side of airplanes and sending them up in the air. It was very good. If you like Mission Impossible movies, you'll like this movie. It delivers on the action. It's a little self-referential and up its own butt, but if you like the movies, you won't mind that. I give it a 4-star out of 5 or a B. It's good. It's enjoyable. It's worth seeing on the big screen if you can do it. My only criticism, and I just need to say this, you don't have the hair that Tom Cruise has at 62. He has a team that is the greatest team in Hollywood that gave him 22-year-old man hair on top of what looks like a great face, but it's still a 62-year-old man's face. Don't have young people hair on your old person face. It never looks good, man. Never looks good. Let some gray in there so you look like a human being. That's all I'm saying. He's right next to Timothy Oliphant, who went gray, and he looks fantastic.
Time out. Time out.
Go ahead, Ange. I know what you're doing. Go right ahead.
Jay Black, you are giving Tom Cruise tips on how to look? Seriously?
I challenge.
Please.
I challenge anybody to go to this movie and tell me that his hair and his overly smooth face is not distracting. I would liked it better when he was on the biplane because I didn't have to look at a close-up of his weird smooth face.
Tom, you got to change your hair. Jay Black doesn't like it.
I am right about this.
We need a movie with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman so we can see neither of their faces move.
Yeah, they have a baby and it turns out to be a Barbie doll because it's all plastic.
Butt it to the faces.
And I would like to point out, none of us have been on the cover of Vogue.
No.
Just point that out.
But nobody looks at this show and goes, wow, look at all the work they've all had done. Nobody does that. Nobody's watching on YouTube going, man, who's Angelo's plastic surgeon?
I have a lawsuit pending. Let me go through what we got here. If you want to see the Rehearsal season 2, it's one of the most spectacular things has ever been on TV. It's on HBO Max. I Think You Should Leave is on Netflix. Friendship is on Apple and Amazon. Fountain of Youth is on Apple if you would like to see a really bad film. Guernsey Literary and Potato Field Society is...
Potato peel. Like you're peeling a potato.
Rhea, could you pick some shows that have easier titles?
Yeah.
That's on Netflix. All these things I mentioned. Young Friends, Your Friends and Neighbors, that's on Apple with the studio on Apple. Duster is on Max. Untold, Black Mirror, and Sirens are all on Netflix. Pop the Balloon is on Netflix. Mission Impossible in theaters, and Pee-wee himself is on HBO Max.
Thank you so much. You can catch Angelo Cataldi's book Loud at angelocataldi.com, amazon.com, or audible.com. You're going to want to listen to the inside story of the beginning of sports radio in Philadelphia. Angelo Cataldi was there. You can catch Rhea Hughes every single day on YouTube talking sports with the WIP gang over there. And you can watch my movie Tenants right now on Tubi. And you can also, if you want, I'm going to be, if you hear this on a Wednesday or Thursday, I'm going to be at the Death of the Fox Brewing Company in Clarksboro, New Jersey. I know we have a lot of people in this area. It's very rare that I'm in South Jersey. If you want to come see me do comedy, I'll be at the Death of the Fox Brewing Company this Thursday. But we'll be back next week, next Wednesday, to talk more.
All right, Jay, one last
TV.
thing.
Yes.
If people out there would like to give us some feedback, maybe you'd like to offer some tips to Jay on his hairstyle. And
yeah. No one's
good
gonna
today.
Yeah,
It looks good today.
and I'm getting a haircut. And you know what I'm not gonna say? Make me look like I'm 19. I'm gonna say, let me be an old man.
With it. I love it. I love it. See you guys.
See you next week, guys.